Have you heard of the idea and philosophy of defining who your ideal avatar is, or you're defining your target audience, ideal avatar, whatever you want to call them, but some form of representation and persona for your target audience so that way you know who you're talking to, but yet you're struggling with really identifying who that person is and where they hang out and what they like to do? I'm addressing why I think it's an issue to create a persona regarding your target audience without knowing exactly who they are. So stick around. Oftentimes I see it in Facebook groups when I talk to my ideal clients, and just even chats with some of my industry friends regarding the whole avatar target audience discussion or debate. The issue that I'm seeing occur is the fact that they are trying to base their ideal customer, their avatar, their whatever you want to call it, on someone who doesn't exist. They are creating this fake person that they've allowed only themselves to work on without ever vetting it, without ever identifying that those are truly the wants, needs, desires, and fears of their actual client. And therefore they're creating it in a box or in a vacuum all by themselves. And when you do that, you run the risk of not truly understanding who your ideal client is. So what I oftentimes recommend, whether you're just starting out or you have just a small group of followers or clients that you can kind of tap on the shoulder, I like to go back and truly identify what their obstacles were, what their wants, needs, and desires were. And the way that I did that was last year, as I went into business, I took my business full time. I allowed myself that grace to just kind of take on clients as they came in, without truly identifying who my target audience was, because I needed to fully understand why they were coming to me. And before I could do that, I couldn't come up with it on my own. Yes, of course, I knew that I was going to provide branding and website design services for my clients, but I didn't truly understand what their obstacles were, and why they needed to hire someone else to do it. And after a year of collecting that data, I was then able to go back and truly hone in on who my ideal clients were. Out of all of the clients that I had in my first year of business, I was able to go back and say, I really enjoyed working with these 10 people because they allowed me to focus on the creativity that I really wanted to provide for my clients. They allowed me to charge what I'm worth. They allowed me to do all of these things, right? Whatever that requirement list is, you want to think about it for yourself and then go back and identify and say, you know what, these are my ideal clients. And then once you start to analyze them and look at them, you can then break down a little bit further why they're coming to you. What was their motivating factor in actually pulling the trigger on working with you, buying your product, working with you one-on-one, whatever it may be, whatever you offer. For me, what I identified is that they needed clarity. They needed clarity around who they were talking to. They needed clarity around their brand voice, and their branding. And a lot of times they came in thinking that they knew exactly what they wanted out of their brand. But then after working together, I provided that clarity to realize, oh no, that's not exactly what I need or what I want, based on all of the soul searching and digging that we did to identify the real root and the core of their business. So I was able to pull out and extrapolate from talking to my clients that the clarity piece was really what they needed, and that they needed an expert, someone who's knowledgeable in guiding them along the way, because they really didn't know what they were doing. So those were things that I was able to extrapolate from talking to my clients, right? And I was able to really pin down what those fears were of working with someone like myself, because too many times I have heard that they have been wronged by another marketing expert, by another website designer, someone who said that they could turn it around in 3 weeks, and then it took, over a year. Whatever the case may be, they were giving me their fears of what their obstacles would be of working with someone like myself. And the only way that you're really going to be able to get that is by asking them, is by starting that conversation. So if you don't have clients that you can tap on the shoulder and say, hey, I would love to ask you a couple questions, and then get that information, you can ask your audience. If you have even just a small audience on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or whatever platform you're currently using, ask that audience to take a survey and ask them the questions of why they would or wouldn't want to work with whatever it is that you offer. Would they need that type of product? Would they not? How much are they willing to pay for something like that? Are they willing to invest the money in it? Or is that something that they're really looking for free? What is keeping them up at night? Where do they spend their time? All of those different things can kind of help you identify who your ideal client really is, but without doing it inside of a vacuum. You need to vet and you need to validate that what you're thinking is truly in alignment with what your client's needs are. So make sure that when you are identifying your ideal client, you are taking the time to actually validate it, to really understand what your customer needs. And here's a little pro tip for you. If you are just starting out and you don't have an audience, you don't have any clients that you can look at, there are tons of Facebook groups out there. Lots of Facebook groups, not just creative business owner Facebook groups, but tons of Facebook groups out there. And there's most likely a Facebook group out there that exists in your category and in your industry. And if you join one of them, honestly, you can just observe and see what they're saying. You can hear the pain points that your ideal client is having because you're in one of these Facebook groups that aligns with whatever it is that you offer. So just listening in those Facebook groups is truly beneficial to helping you identify who that ideal client really is and leveraging the words that they use. They're often sharing exactly how they feel about a pain point in those Facebook groups. Take that and turn that into stuff that you can then use to help you with your business, especially when you're first starting out. I definitely used that last year. I used it as a great way to network. I used it as a great way to kind of learn insight into what my clients were struggling with. And then I was able to kind of take it and own it and utilize it for my own purposes. And then, of course, validate it with my actual clients as I continue to get them over the course of last year. So I think that might be a really helpful pro tip for you, is to kind of just listen inside of these Facebook groups if your ideal client is hanging out there. So to sum it up, make sure that you are not wasting your time creating an ideal avatar who does not exist. You need to validate and vet this information with an actual ideal client who is willing to buy your services, so that way you can truly understand what they need, want, desire, and what they fear. So that way you can get in front of that in your messaging, on your website, in your marketing, and all of those other things. And it doesn't need to be sleazy, but it's just reassuring them that you are the right fit for them. So I hope you guys found that really helpful. If you did, please make sure to like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe, because every single week I will be dropping a new video all about marketing, branding, and website design. So see you.